I can go to what's the name? Oh, you gonna get the comments right here?
Yeah.
Dang, I've never been in like.
You always on the other side.
Always on the other end. That's crazy.
Everything good.
I was gonna pull it up. Y'all niggas got power over here. Y'all niggas got power.
I be trying to tell you to set it up every now and then.
Nah, I'm cool.
Right. Right. Shalom. Shalom. Let's open this bad way up.
Anybody in there?
Right. Oh, I'm gonna grab a few.
Proverbs, go ahead.
Right. Yeah, let me grab a proverb. I'm gonna get Proverbs chapter 4. Let's see that. Proverbs 4 and 7. No, Proverbs 4 and 2. It says, For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. So the doctrine is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Proverbs.
Let me see. Let me find one real quick.
All right.
Con. Proverbs 21 and 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. The scriptures says it is better to dwell in the wilderness. You know, it's kind of grievous to dwell in the wilderness sometimes. You know, we just all got done with Feast Tabernacles. You got bugs, you got all this stuff you got to set up. It kind of get annoying sometimes. Everything ain't easy. But it's better to dwell in the wilderness than to dwell around that angry woman all the time. You know, it's annoying and it gets vexing. You know.
Yeah. Out there in the wilderness is kind of uncomfortable. You don't have the nice king size bed, the comforter, the therapeutic mattress, the pillows. Like what you got out there is a mean cottage. A mean cottage. I'm gonna pull out another proverb. Proverbs 11 and 22 says, "As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion." So, if you put a diamond or a ruby in a pig's nose, it's kind of unprofitable. It's very unprofitable because a pig is a filthy animal. It's disgusting. It's not going to take care of it. He's not going to take care of it. It don't make sense to put something so valuable on something so filthy and disgusting. And it says it's just like seeing a fair woman, which means a beautiful woman, but she don't got no home training. She don't got no morals or virtues. She kind of just do whatever. So it's the same thing, man. Shalom. We got Zion. Shalom. And then we got Zion forever. Right. Shalom, Israel. Happy Sabbath. Khan. Shabbat. Khan. So we're just kicking it off with a few proverbs. Then we're going to kind of get into something.
This is Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 12. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. It says it is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness. Why? Because if the king commits wickedness and iniquity, everybody looks to the king and follows the king. Back in the day, the king was kind of like the father figure back in the day. Even Moses was a king, and everybody looked towards Moses for answers. You know, what should we do with this? What should we do about this? This, that, and the third. If there's a matter going on in the kingdom and nobody can figure it out, you go to the king. So the king is wicked. That's an abomination unto the Most High God. That's a no-go. So how much more in this wicked society when you got the kings of the earth committing wickedness and abominations? Because it says that the throne is established by righteousness. What is that throne going into? That's going into Yahweh's kingdom. Yahweh is going to be on that throne establishing what? Righteousness. He's not going to be committing wickedness. He's not going to be committing any kind of iniquity. That way the people can look towards him and follow after his ways. That way we can look towards him and follow after him. And the world is going to be happy in that time. You know, the people rejoice when the righteous are in rulership.
Khan, that's a fire precept. I was trying to find this one to to tag or add on to it, they basically say what you said. But I think I'm gonna just grab this. This is Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn. Period, point blank. This is a beautiful proverb. It tells you when righteous people are in authority, man, the people are happy. They rejoice. Can you get 1 Kings 10 and 4? The people are glad. They rejoice and they marry. They live in a righteous life. It's a righteous society according to the law, statute, commandments. But when you got a wicked king, everything changes. Everything changes. Everything is flipped upside down. Being bad becomes good. Things that's unlawful become lawful. Things that bring darkness, they are counted as light. That's what a wicked king and a wicked ruler would bring to the table. Can you grab that though?
1 Kings 10 and 4.
I think so.
And when Queen of Sheba and seen all Solomon's wisdom.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to.
All right, got it.
Yeah.
This is 1 Kings chapter 10 and verse 4. And when the Queen of Sheba has seen all Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her.
Come on.
And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom.
So the Queen of Sheba, she heard about Solomon. We got to go ahead and open up real quick. First and foremost, all praises, all honor, and all glory go to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, Khan. So we at 1 Kings 10. I think we just read down to verse 6. We're going to keep reading. But to catch everybody up, Queen of Sheba came to visit Solomon to see how he was really living. So here to really see the wisdom up close, see how he carried himself, see how he ran his nation. Let's keep reading.
God. Verse 7. Howbeit, I believed not the words until I came and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard.
See, like, man, how everybody described King Solomon, words can't even compare to what I'm hearing all of these good things. I'm hearing about all his wisdom. But when I really met him up close, my mind was blown because it exceeded everything that I heard. Let's keep reading. Here's the point.
It's like it. Verse 8. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that bear thy and that hear thy wisdom.
It says, happy are the men, happy are the servants which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. So usually you hear about servants, they kind of don't want to be a servant. They don't really want to serve this person, usually. But that wasn't like that for King Solomon. Everybody was happy that he was ruling. Everybody loved to take commandments from him, to listen to the wise words he said. They wanted a commandment. They wanted the knowledge. They loved his leadership. It said they was happy. And that's how it's going to be in the kingdom, but tenfold. It's going to be multiplied exceedingly. All right, we're going to be happy. We're going to happily follow the king whithersoever he goeth. The next verse says, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he king to do judgment and justice. And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing when you got a king who's gonna pronounce true judgment and true justice in his kingdom, right? So that's the kind of things that the Lord is looking for. And Lord willing, these men that you see on the highways and byways, these different camps, they really walk in this truth, really, really, really trying to execute judgment and justice in a righteous way. That's on you.
You want to get into it?
Con,
y'all. So we're going to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get into what we originally said we was going to talk about. So we're going to go to Judith chapter 5. Judith chapter 5. Let me start at verse 20. And then
Start at
we're at
17.
17. Okay. This is Judah chapter 5, verse 17. And whilst they sin not, hold on.
We could really read up because he really he
I
eat
know.
it up.
I know.
We could start at 1 if we wanted. Really? We got time. We got time. Let's get into it.
Okay. This is Judah chapter 5, verse 1. Then was it declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, that the children of Israel had prepared for war, and had shut up the passages of the hill country, and had fortified all the tops of the high hills, and had laid impediments in the campaign countries, wherewith he was very angry, and called all the princes of Moab, and the captains of Ammon, and all the governors of the sea coast. And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and wherein is their power and strength, and what king is set over them, or captain of their army.
So you have Holofernes. He's working as the chief captain of Nebuchadnezzar or Nebuchadnezzar's army. So he's kind of inquiring about the, so he gathered everybody that's, you got Canaanites, and he kind of inquiring, who are these people? Where do they strength come from? Where's the major cities? Who's their God? Where does their power lie? I see they got the hill countries. We might need to inquire and do more research. So that's what's going on. You think?
No. Okay. Verse 4. And why have they determined not to come and meet me, more than all the inhabitants of the west?
Real quick, when you read Judah, the first chapter, you see that Nebuchadnezzar, this is, so everybody knows about Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel and in 2 Kings and the Chronicles, how he was the ruler over the Babylonians. And he took our temple, he led the southern kingdom into captivity. Everyone should be familiar with that. But this is his dad, because his dad paved the way for Nebuchadnezzar to be able to do those things. So, long story short, Nebuchadnezzar, he's trying to make war with all of these different nations because he needed their help, and everybody neglected him. No one tried to help him. And that's the context of the first chapter. You read on through, but now he's kind of trying to make war with them people because they didn't help him. Right? Long story short, we could go deeper, but that's what you need to know.
This is Judah chapter 5 and verse 5. Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries. Over thou, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. This people are descended of the Chaldeans.
Because our forefathers came from Ur, they came from Chaldea. He's giving you the history. He's giving you the history of what's going on about the Israelites.
And they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, and the God whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and to go into the land of Canaan.
So it's really giving you the history of Abraham. Yeah. It's giving you how he left the Chaldea, Mesopotamia, how he's seen the promised land, and all of these promises he made. It's a lot of things in between this, but he's kind of briefly summarizing the whole Bible, if you want me to be honest. Because our lineage is so valuable, and it's so crazy how everything happened. Everybody knew about it. That's how the Most High God got his fame, by doing these wonderful things. Where was we at?
10, verse 9.
Okay.
Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and to go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt, and were increased with gold and silver and with very much cattle. Hold on, let me see if I can find this real quick.
Okay, Con. I think I'm gonna grab this in Genesis.
Con. This is Genesis chapter 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. And Abram, which is Abraham, and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. So, like you said, this is talking about Abraham, and Abraham was a rich man. He was a wealthy man, actually. He had men, he had cattle, he had silver, and he had gold.
If I may add, in the Genesis, the 11th chapter, is giving you a lineage from Shem, because you know you got Shem, you got Ham, and you got Japheth. Shem, in verse what is that? 11 and 10. Chapter 11 and 10, it says, "These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood." So it's going to give you a lineage from there. When you jump down to like verse 26, that's when Abraham hit the scene. You know, who we know as Abraham. So we briefly going through this. So if we need to slow down, drop it in the chat. But we kind of want to get to a specific point in Judith. But we got to get the history too. So Genesis, I want to actually read this real quick to prove that he was from Ur, and that's the land of the Chaldees. Genesis 10 and 26. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. In Ur of the Chaldees. That's their nativity. That's the land where they was at. That's the land they was born at. But God revealed himself unto Abraham, chose Abraham. Abraham chose to serve him. And that's how he just jumped to chapter 13, showing you how he waxed great. Along with Lot, you know, can't forget about Lot. Lot was actually mighty. They tell you Lot was righteous, you know. But yeah. That's just showing you that this is talking about Abraham in Judah chapter 5.
Because right now, all he's doing is just talking about our lineage, talking about us, basically how we serve, how we serve the God of heaven.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knew about our God. You know, he was like, he forsook the Mesopotamian gods, and he forsook the God of their fathers, and then, you know, the Most High God showed himself unto Abraham. Now, back at Judith, unless you got something.
I want to grab verse 31. Go ahead. This is good. It says, "And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran and dwelt there." So literally, they left Ur of the Chaldees and went to Canaan, you know, to see the promised land. But yeah, that's all I got.
This is Judith chapter 5 and verse 10. "But when a famine covered all the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt and sojourned there, while they were nourished and became a great multitude, so that one could not number their nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low with laboring in brick and made them slaves." So what's going on now? Now it jumped. It jumped a couple timelines. It jumped a couple years. Instead of going through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, no, it just jumped straight to Jacob. You know, because it's talking about Egypt. We dwelt in Egypt. First, Joseph was the first man in Egypt, and then all his brethren came, and then we were 70 souls in Egypt. You can read about that in Exodus, early chapters. We were 70 souls in Egypt, and then we waxed great. And then what did Pharaoh do? Pharaoh said, "Let us deal wisely with this nation before they come great and rule over us." Right. I believe.
I'm going to grab it for you. This is Exodus chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, "And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal with them wisely. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So, that's going into how they dealt with them. Verse 11, and dealt subtly with them and brought them low with laboring in brick and made them slaves. So the Egyptians made us slaves. You got something?
Yeah, verse 11 says the same thing. It says, therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
That's exactly what it is right there. And in Salakia, verse 10, it says, but when a famine covered all the land of Canaan, remind you, we were in Canaan. Abram was in the land of Canaan during the time with Isaac and Jacob. Now, when the famine hit, Jacob has sent, who did he send? He sent his sons, I believe all except Benjamin. Yep. Sent his sons over to Egypt to Joseph because Joseph had already got a vision. He had already stored up food, so on and so forth. So that's how we got into Egypt.
John, it's covering a lot.
He's covering a lot.
He's covering a lot. And it's crazy that this heathen knows more about our nation than we do today. Yeah, I can't let no heathen out worship me like that.
Right. This nigga out Israel me and shit.
Right.
All right.
Should I turn this off? It's kind of chilly.
It don't matter. All right. Judith chapter 5, verse 11.
God.
Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them and brought them low with laboring and brick and made them slaves. We just read that. Then they cried unto their God, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues, so the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. Now, what is going on here? We got Moses, we got Aaron, let my people go, so on and so forth. Plagues hit, we're leaving Egypt. Mind you, the Most High God, Salaki, the Most High God did this to make his name great amongst the land.
Can I grab that?
Go ahead.
God.
Of course you can grab that.
God. So we're going to grab Romans chapter 9. You know, a classic chapter with classic precepts.
Classics.
So this is Romans 9, 9 and 22. Romans 9 and 22 says, what if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. So this scripture proves that the Lord, he wants to show his wrath to make his power known. So with much long suffering, the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, they can be destroyed. So long story short, he will build a nation up, utterly destroy them, and everybody like, OMG, how did this happen? Come to find out, it was the Most High God, Yahweh. That's how you get his power. One of the brothers I watched a long time ago, this is like a powerful brother. He said a similitude about this, and he was like, imagine being, says like like 30 kids, like preschoolers, first graders, whatever you want to say, and you got a tower made of Legos, and every day you command the kids to try and knock this tower down, and they trying to run into it, push it over. They might even be using teamwork. They grabbing bats, they swinging it. They trying to do everything they can to knock this tower down. And they do it every day for a whole year. Every time in the beginning of class, they kind of not trying to knock it down, but they can never knock it down. And then one day at the end of the year, you go over there and barely touch it, and it just gets destroyed. Thinking like, what?
This nigga's a god.
You gotta be almighty powerful, because we've been trying to knock this down for a whole year, every day, faithfully. But we never could. But you could do it. You could do it with one push. So easy. You must be a king. You must be a god. So all of the kids are going to start looking at that man who did it, or who knocked that Lego tower down, as something that has power, that has might, that has strength. They're going to look at him like a god. And that's the same thing that he does with these other nations. He will build them up like a tower of Legos. And when it's time, he'll destroy it to make his name known. So that's the wisdom behind that.
So, a good chapter to read alongside this would be Acts chapter 7. That way you can walk through it. Acts chapter 7 is Stephen and Apostle Stephen going through and breaking down damn near the whole Old Testament, damn near. He's breaking down the Bible and he's making it plain as day. He's giving names, doing this, that, and the third. But this is basically a mirroring kind of statement is what's going on, basically. Everything that's going on in this Judith is basically everything that Stephen is explaining in Acts chapter 7. But we can keep going. Verse 13. And God dried the Red Sea before them and brought them to Mount Sinai in Kadesh Barnea and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. It's just us going to the wilderness. He made the Red Sea split. We should already know this. I'm going to keep going. Verse 15. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites. They destroyed by their strength all of them of Eshbon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. And they cast forth before them the Canaanite and the Perizzite and the Jebusite and the Sychemite and the Girgashites, it's like in all the Girgashites, and they dwelt in that country many days. What is this going into? This is going to Joshua getting all this land. We're getting the promised land, Now, verse 17. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered. Because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. During this time, Israel was on point. Everybody was listening. You can go to Joshua chapter 1, I believe, and read about that. Because Joshua 1, you had officers that actually said, if any man go against your commandment, talking to Joshua, if any man goes against your commandment, they'll be put to death. Simple as that. And Joshua was a righteous man. So they were moving in righteousness during this time. They were going through and destroying everything during this time. Because the nation of Israel was on track. Let me grab something. If you got something, go ahead.
Right. Hey, Joshua, I feel like as a nation, we need to do a better job of honoring him because he don't get talked about enough. Joshua was really tough. Like everything that the Most High God did for Moses, he kind of did it for Joshua also. Like Joshua showed an abundance of faith along with Caleb. Everybody that was in the wilderness, they didn't get to see the promised land except for two men, Joshua, number one, and Caleb. And Caleb, for his righteousness, actually received an allotted land in Judah, right? So, hey, like Moses, he parted the Red Sea, or the Most High God parted it for Moses. The Most High God parted the Red Sea for Moses. Everyone should also know that the Most High God parted the Jordan River for Joshua, right? So it's a lot of resemblance how the Most High God dealt with Moses and Joshua. It was beautiful. Right, Joshua got this.
Can you go to Sirach 46? 46. Let me see. I'm trying to look for a precept that says that all of our enemies would flee from our face 7 ways. I might got to keyword it.
Deuteronomy 32. Yeah. I can grab it for you. I believe this one is Deuteronomy 32.
Okay, I got one. Deuteronomy 28:7.
Okay, God, you got you. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Deuteronomy 28:7. The earlier verses leading up to. So if we would hearken to the Most High God and His commandments, He would do these things for us. Deuteronomy 28:7. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. 7 just going into completion. So when we follow in the Most High God, our enemies, they can't mess with us. They can't touch us. There's nothing that they can do to us. The Most High God is on whose side? Our side. He's our God. But if we transgress Him, we're gonna find out. We're gonna keep reading. We're gonna find out what's gonna happen if we do transgress Him. But let me grab this. I think it's Psalms 118. I always pull this because I love this precept. Psalms 118:6. Let's see what it says. It says, the Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? He said, what can man do unto me when the Lord is on my side? The almighty power of heaven and earth, the master of the universe, is on Israel's side. So when we follow him and do what he says, he's going to do whatever for us. Like even when King Asa was going against war, I always bring this analogy out, this situation. They were going against a million, not a million, it's like 1,000, which is a million. Was it actually a million people there? Probably not.
Jake be kind of
right. Probably not. But King Asa cried upon the Lord, called on him. He said, "It's nothing for you to help out with very little or very much," and the Most High God smote them. Why? Because we were following the Most High God. Go ahead.
Hey, one reason why a lot of people would draw faint whenever it was time to battle against the Israelites, because it wasn't just us making war against them; they fighting against God. You see them? Like, that's crazy.
He fighting against God.
He actually said, "The Lord go out and fight for you." That's actually in the scriptures, right? But this is Acts 5:39. It says, "But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it." If it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it. Why? Because God behind it. It says, "Lest happily ye be found to fight against God." If it's of God, you can't overthrow it. Like all of these, it make me think of all of these mighty camps and these mighty brothers in the truth. Even though we kind of sectored ourselves into different categories, like if it's of God, it can't be destroyed. That's why you see faithful camps still standing strong in its truth, because it got to be of God. But you see a lot of brothers who doing their own thing and bashing camps or bashing brothers, like they don't be around for long because it's not of God, right? And I want to grab this precept in Job. You showed me this. Job, I want to say it's a lot of chapters. I want to say it's 40. This is Job 40:9. Tell me if you remember this one. Job 40:9. It says, "Hast thou an arm like God?
Yeah.
Or canst thou thunder with a voice like unto him?" Man, God's arm, you not able to fight against God. His arms is too long. They too strong. You don't got an arm like God. There's no way that you can overthrow the things that God has already established and set up from the foundations, from the beginning. He set it up this way. So if it's of God, you can't overthrow it, man. We can throw more scriptures on that. Let me throw another one on that. I like this one. I feel like this is one that a Christian will pull, but it hit. It, in verse 31, it says, "What shall we say then?" Or excuse me, "What shall we then say to these things? If it be for us, if God be for us, who can be against us? If God be for us, who can be against us? Nobody."
Right.
Nobody. You don't stand a chance, man.
Time. We can give me that Sirach 46. You can start at 1. Mind you, why are we bringing this up? Judith 5:16. "And they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Pharisite, and the Jebusite, and the Sycamite, and all the Girgashites. And they dwelt in that country many days, and whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hated iniquity was with them." This is going on during the time of Joshua, when we were taking over the land of Canaan. Check that out. Jeru Israel, great precept, Exodus 14:14. "The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." That's a perfect precept. That's exactly what's going on right here. Now, say you got a big brother, and you sitting there, you talking smack to your big brother all the day long. You kind of going around, you slapping him, you spitting in his face. Is your big brother going to fight for you? No. But if you love your big brother and you reverence your big brother and treat him as such, he'll fight for you all the day long. Same thing with our Most High God. He's not going to fight for us if we just disobey him and if we just be rebellious. The scriptures say rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft. It is better to hearken is to give the sacrifices of rams. So it's better to listen instead of going through all the hardship. But us Israel, we're stiff-necked people. We'd rather go through it through hardship. Go ahead, King.
Right. So you want to start at the top?
Yeah.
Sirach chapter 46 and verse 1. It says, Jesus, can I read it how it's supposed to say it?
Yeah.
It says, Joshua, the son of Nun.
All right, hold on. Now, every time you see Jesus, there's three kind of different names that you can use for Jesus. Of course, you got Jesus, you got Joshua, and you got Yahushua. You know, they all different kind of intellects and translations and transliterations, you know. But Joshua is the same name as Yahushua, basically. Go ahead.
Okay. It says, Joshua, the son of Nun, was valiant in the wars. And this is how you know that this is talking about Joshua.
Next part, gonna tell it. Watch.
It says, and was the successor of Moses in prophecies, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of God, and taking vengeance of the enemies that rose up against them, that he might set Israel in their inheritance.
That he might set Israel in their inheritance.
Yeah.
We took over the land of Canaan because of how wicked and evil Canaan was working.
Right.
They were sacrificing children to Molech. They were doing all kind of abominations. So we took vengeance on them. That's why the Most High God gave us that land. Go ahead.
And it goes back to it make me think of what is that? Isaiah? It might be Jeremiah. I should know this. But basically they tell you that the Israelites are God's battle axes and weapons of war. Whenever wicked things is going on in the earth, he wants to use the Israelites. But before he can do that, the Israelites got to understand something. They need to understand who their God is, where their power come from. But yeah, even from the beginning, before we even got the land, the Lord was using us as a battle axe. And we didn't get the promised land just because we was cool and we was just righteous. We got it because they didn't deserve it. They didn't need it. They was doing too much wickedness. All right. And that's in the scriptures.
I got something.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12 and verse 3. For it was thy will to destroy by hand, it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers, both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest, for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh, and the feast of blood. So these men, these Canaanites, they were going and drinking blood. They were doing witchcraft. They were sacrificing kids. They were merciless. And they were dwelling in the Most High God's holy land. That's why it says, it was thy will to destroy them by our hands, by the hands of Joshua, by the mighty hands of Joshua. Joshua was a mighty man. He followed right after the footsteps of Moses. You know how hard it is to follow the footsteps of the most meekest man on earth?
Right.
He studied. He was damn near Moses' disciple. Right after Moses.
Yeah, definitely.
He was taught directly from Moses. Go ahead.
It said that I think it was Deuteronomy, the latter chapters. It said that Moses had his hand on Joshua or something like that. So I can think of a count and actually verify that. I actually want to go see if I can find it. But you go ahead.
While you grabbing that, I'm gonna read what Captain Jeremiah said. This is Jeremiah 51 and 20. It says, "Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms." And with the Most High God, you can see that modern day, and you can see that go ahead. No. You can see that back in the ancient day. We're getting one account right here where we destroyed the Canaanites. You know, we didn't think upon it and take upon it a vengeance on our own. We didn't come up with this idea to go and destroy the Canaanites. No, the Canaanites were a greater people than us. They were giants. We didn't want to go over there. But the Most High God said, go over there and do it. And guess what? We did it. Go ahead.
Precept, Deuteronomy 34 and 9. Deuteronomy 34 and 9 says, "And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom." For Moses, that's hot.
That's hot.
It said Joshua was full of the spirit of wisdom.
That's hot.
That's the Holy Spirit right there. He actually had the Holy Spirit. It says he was full of the spirit of wisdom. Why? It says, for Moses had laid his hands upon him. Right? And the children of Israel hearkened unto him and did as the Lord commanded Moses. That's saying what it's saying.
That's saying what it's saying. That's hot.
That's hot.
That's real.
I'm telling you, we need to put some more respect on Joshua because he really held it down for his time.
He really did. God. Let me get back to Sirach 46.
Okay, God.
It says, Sirach 46:1, Yahushua the son of Salakia, Joshua the son of Nun, was valiant in wars and was a successor of Moses in prophecies, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of God and taking vengeance of the enemies that rose up against them, that he might set Israel in their inheritance. Our inheritance was the land of Canaan. It says, how great glory gat he when he did lift up his hands and stretched out his sword against the cities. So he stretched out his sword against many cities. Joshua didn't go and just take over one city. He wasn't famous for just killing one man. No, he was a mighty man, slew thousands. It says, who before him so stood to it? For the Lord himself brought his enemies unto him. It says, for the Lord himself brought his enemies unto him. Why? Because Joshua wasn't wicked.
Right.
Joshua was a righteous man doing everything according to the Most High God's will. Doing everything. It says, did not the sun go back by his means? And was not one day as long as two? So if you don't know, during the time of Joshua, the sun stood still. And it was going around, Joshua 10 and 12. And it was going around during that time. Did man hearken unto the voice? Salakia, did God hearken unto the voice of man?
No.
That's what everybody was. It was going around during that time. Damn, is that what's going? That's how powerful Joshua was.
Right.
He was cold. Go ahead.
Joshua chapter 10, and I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says, then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, he said this in the sight of Israel, everybody watching, and he said this, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people have avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Joshua? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven and hasted not to go down about a whole day.
About a whole day. So one day was as long as two. Read the next verse.
Verse 14. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel.
For the Lord fought for Israel. It doesn't say that Joshua fought. It said for the Lord fought for Israel. And Joshua like, man, let the, can the sun stay? Like, we get down. We getting busy.
It made me think of Elijah. He said, man, if I be a man of God,
let fire rain down from heaven. That's how cold Joshua was. That's how in the spirit Joshua was. We really got to put respect on Joshua.
He had faith. Think about it. If that didn't work, he would have looked at like a fool.
Right. Sun going down. Hey, Josh, this ain't working.
Oh, man. And the faith. Hey, let me get this. If that is actually going to happen. And you got to be in the spirit to do that.
Oh, you got to be in the spook. You got to be in the spirit.
You got to have a spizzy on you. It's Sirach 2 and 10. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded?
I haven't seen it.
Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken?
I haven't read that.
Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him?
I haven't heard it.
I ain't seen it in the scriptures. Every man really put their heart and soul into the Most High God and fully trusted him and believe on him. You don't hear no accounts of the Lord really just not dealing with them. Unless they saying it and doing something else. The only way he not gonna is if you saying you love him, but your works kind of say different. I ain't not hearing that. But somebody who really, really doing what they supposed to be doing, and they really, really believe on the Most High God wholeheartedly, we'll see how the Lord save them.
Let's see. Let's go.
You want to go back to 46?
No. We good on that. Let's go to.
Ooh, it's hot.
I know.
We might have to do a lesson on that.
For real.
Chapter 46, yeah.
For real.
You know, that's our favorite right there.
Now, read Judah 5 and read 17 and then read 18.
Okay, kind of. 5, 17, 18. All right, Judah chapter 5, verse 17. It says, and while as they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
So, this is going into a lot of things. Now, I'm going to get Judges. We're finna go into Judges a little bit. This is Judges chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 6. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto inheritance to possess the land. That was Joshua's mission. Get the children of Israel their possessed land. Verse 7, and the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua. When Joshua was alive, there was nothing wrong going on. And all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, all the mighty men that was with Joshua in that time and that lived after Joshua, we served the Most High God, who had seen great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. So our people, whenever we see the great works, we hearken, we listen. Check this out, verse 8. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath Heres, in the Mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. Here's the point. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. So that generation that lived a little bit after Joshua and Joshua's generation passed away. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. So there arose a generation which knew not the works that the Most High God had did for us. So do you think they're going to follow in the footsteps of their fathers and the ones who've seen the works of the Most High God? No. Why would we say that? Verse 11. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim. And they forsook the Lord, God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger. Who are the men and people that are round about them? Canaanites. We're dwelling in the Canaanites land. Even in Deuteronomy chapter 6, I believe, or is it 7? In the very beginning, it tells us not to make a covenant with the people round about. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to give our children a marriage. We're not supposed to do nothing with them. We're not supposed to follow their gods, nor hearken. If they even make mention of their gods, we're supposed to kill them. But this generation knew not the Most High. How do you know the Most High? When you know his commandments.
So these brothers, that's a clear cut.
That's a clear cut. They didn't know his commandments. They didn't know him nor his commandments. They didn't know anything about him.
It's more on this too.
I'm already.
It's hot.
More on this.
It's hot.
So verse 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he delivered them. This looked like that's what happened in Judah. And he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of the Lord was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Lord had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. So the Most High, he was against us. Why? Because we were against him. We didn't serve him in honesty and truth and faith, and we didn't serve him in command. We didn't serve him no kind of way. So he's like, okay, if you want to follow their God, let's see how they God treat you. Let's see how these people will treat you.
Right.
When you were dwelling with Joshua, and y'all was keeping the command, y'all was healthy, y'all was good, y'all was prospering, y'all waxed fat. But now, it's a different story. And that's in the curses as well. We will be sold unto our enemies. Bond men, bound women, so on and so forth, dwelling in different lands, this, that, and the third. You got something?
No.
Nah, okay, God. Also, in Judith is going into something else. What is this going into? Because it mentions that it says, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. Can you grab me that? Raise it, raise it. What is this going into? This is going into the Babylonian captivity. Because we were sold into a land that was not ours. We were sold to the Babylonians. The Babylonians came over and took us over and destroyed our temple. Let me see if I can grab that.
Grab what?
Something in Jeremiah.
Okay. So this is Psalms chapter 137 and verse 7. It says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, and the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee, as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone. And it's a clear cut to show you that our temple was ravished by enemies, and they just went too far, you know?
God, this is all prophecy. Jeremiah 38 and 17. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah. Zedekiah is the king during the time. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if thou wilt assuredly go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live, and thine house. So Jeremiah is saying, hearken unto the word of the Lord. During this time, this was a commandment of the Most High God. Go and serve captivity. Go and do your punishment. In your city won't be burned. I'll keep all of y'all alive. It's not even going to be a harsh captivity. It's going to be 70 years. That's how merciful the Most High God is. He's that merciful. Just go serve this captivity. It's not going to be that bad, man. Trust me. Trust me. 70 years, easy. But, verse 18, but if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. You come to find out, we did not want to hearken unto Jeremiah's words. We didn't want to hearken unto the Most High God. So our city was burned. Our temple was ravished. Even Zedekiah died a horrible death. He got his eyes plucked out. His family died. He died because Zedekiah was a foolish man. You know, he didn't want to listen. He didn't want to listen to the words of that prophet Jeremiah. Why? It may be because he was young. You know, Jeremiah said, don't go to Egypt, but we always wanted to depend on Egypt. So we went to Egypt. Then guess what? The Most High sent Babylon to Egypt, destroyed Egypt. The Most High was making things work, man. Why? Because we didn't want to listen to the Most High God. What does that tell you about now? That we should be what? Listening to the Most High God. What happened to the men that didn't know the Most High God? We already told you what it is to know the Most High God, to follow his laws, statutes, commandments, and to keep the faith. If we don't hearken unto the Most High God, and if we don't know the Most High God, what does that mean for us? That means we shall be destroyed. Us and our household. But if we listen to the Most High God and he's on our side, what can man do unto me? There's nothing these heathens can do unto you. We've had mighty men back in the day that went up against giants. There are no giants in the earth today. These men, these so-called mighty men now, they're weak. They're famished. They're soft. There are no mighty men today. Let me see if I can grab this.
What? What's it say?
Second Ezra 15:22.
Oh,
I think that's 22. It might be 10 or 22. I think it's 10 or 22. Con. This is second Ezra 10 and 22. Our psaltery, this is going to us. Our psaltery is laid on the ground. Our song is put to silence. Our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out. The ark of our covenant is spoiled. Our holy things are defiled. And the name that is called upon us is almost profane. Our children are put to shame. Our priests are burnt. Our Levites are gone into captivity. Our virgins are defiled, and our wives ravished. Our righteous men are carried away, our little ones destroyed, Our young men are brought in bondage, and our strong men are become weak. All of this happens when we do not serve the Most High God. Our strong men, our mighty men, they are become weak. Verse 23, and which is the greatest of all? The seal of Zion hath now lost her honor, for she is delivered into the hand of them that hate us. We have lost honor. Nobody honors us. Nobody respects us. We just niggas now. Now we nobody. We just slaves. We homeborn slaves. That's what it seemed like. Nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about our women. Our women are now put on auction blocks, so on and so forth. Now our women are parading themselves around as harlots. Now our women are talking about getting abortions at an all-time high. We ain't honored. We not God's chosen people. That's what it seemed like. That's what they said about Yahushua. What good can come from Bethlehem? That's how they feel about us. These niggas ain't God's chosen people. They from the hood. Are we really talking? Blacks are God's chosen people. That's what y'all talking about. That's how we see. We're not honored no more.
We're not.
We're not. Go ahead.
And our land is not honored. Imagine. It made me think of Friday. And he was like, "Man, my grandmama gave me this chain. Mm-hmm. I don't care. It got snatched, and it was dear to him. The land of Zion was given to us. It was an inheritance. Mm-hmm. And when it was gifted to us from the Most High God, and he came over and said, I don't care about your grandma giving you that chain. No one cared that the Most High God gave us that land. It belonged to us. Can you read that 23 again? Second Ezra 23. Okay, Baba Kasha.
The second Ezra 10, verse 23.
Yeah.
And which is the greatest of all? The seal of Zion hath now lost her honor, for she is delivered into the hands of them that hate us.
Not only was we delivered into the hands that hate us, our land was delivered into the hands that hate us. Jerusalem is what birthed our nation, what nourished us. This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 9. I'm going to start at 8. I can't do it. Verse 6. It says, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered into the enemies. So we was delivered into the enemies, not to ultimately destroy our nation, but because we moved God's anger, we had to get disciplined. It says, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrifices unto devils and not to God. Ye have forgotten the everlasting God that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. It says, for when she saw the wrath of God coming upon you, she said, hearken, O ye that dwell about in Zion, God hath brought upon me great mourning. You think that, bro, the land actually needs us to be there. We the ones who belong there. We the ones who know how to treat the land. We the one who know the hill country. That's like our mom. She birthed us, raised us, turned Solomon, David. We the ones who defending that land. Now you got the Euphrates drying up. It don't even got water no more. The fruit that used to be grown in that land, magnificent. We always go into how everything was mightier. Everything is mightier over there. That's why the Lord gave it to us. So first, and even the scholars know that. Right. Even the scholars know that's the best land to have. And it's given to us. And it needs us. We belong there. Not the other people, the chosen people. It says, for I saw the captivity of sons and daughters upon them. With joy that I nourished them, but sent weep mourning. And it's a spirit behind that land. Is in mourning right now because we broke up with the Most High God. Because we fell away. Because we stopped adultery. We committed adultery, and it grieves the land. It says, with joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate, because they departed from the law of God. And now the land is left without a husbandman.
There's no man to till the ground.
Nobody tilling the ground over there. That's the capital of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tel Aviv. Now I believe that's like the #1 spot for
For-
homosexuality and sodomy.
Yeah.
Biggest gay parade on earth
Biggest one.
is in Tel Aviv, I believe.
And that's our fault.
Yeah.
That's our fault.
You're right.
It's our fault that's going on.
Yeah.
We grieve in the land. It's grievous to the Most High God to have to put us through this and to discipline and torture us like this. Hey, the whole world needs us to be there. It's not just because we found out we Israelites and we want our land. No, we need to be there. That's going to be the capital of the world. We actually need to be there. So we can set, that's going to be the headquarters of the whole world.
Yeah. Hey, precept. You brought this out earlier. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous, the people rejoice. So when we in authority, when we the hegemony, when we the power, the people are going to rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Everybody's in mourning right now. Even a lot of Edomites smoking themselves. This world ain't cool. This world ain't fun. This world, no. It's empty. It's missing something. It ain't nothing good going on in this world. Everybody want to please the flesh when that's not the goal of life. That's not the purpose. You know, that's not what this is about. But we can get what it's about.
Oh, I just remember how fire this chapter is. It's just spitting and it's literally talking about exactly what I was going to, but it's still hitting. Like, oh my God. Bro, I might have to just do it, man. Nah, that's too much, man. And we got to get to camp.
We got to do another breakdown.
Oh my goodness. I can't get in there. We're going to finish
still
the
ain't
Judith.
got to the point.
We're going to Judith, and we got to make way. Hey, God.
This is Judith, chapter 5 and verse 19. Remember, this is Holofernes talking to somebody, talking to him about us and our nation. It says, but now are they returned to their God and are come up from places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. All the nations know this. Give me Psalms 83, Bible shop. All the nations know this. If there be any error in this people, if they slip, they have a slip of the tongue, they commit adultery, they commit witchcraft, if they do anything, all these wicked things are set up just for us to follow. All these other nations don't care about it. It's set up for us to follow. They want us to get into crystals. They want us to get into selling dope to our own people. They want us to get into all these philosophies and doctrines and this, that, and the third, and politics and so on and so forth. They want us to do that so that can become our God. If that be any error in this people, let us consider that to be their ruin. Because the Most High God doesn't deal with that. The Most High God doesn't dwell with uncleanness. So he's going to be on our team whenever they go into wickedness. We can get over on them. That's why so many things are set up. You got Nike. You got Nike is the goddess of victory. You got Starbucks. That's the goddess. You got Easter. All these pagan holidays. All these things are set up for us to stumble, for us to trip. They know what's going on. But go ahead, grab me that.
God, Psalm chapter 83. And you want me to get to the point?
Yeah.
83 and 3. Dang. 83 and 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Start to.
Okay, kind. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult. Go ahead.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They that hate thee have lifted up the head. Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against us. They all sit around one table, all the nations, and they try to, damn. So what are you doing to make Israelites over there trip up? What are you doing over there in your land to make Israelites trip up? Well, we kind of got this going on, and we kind of got this, we got this parade coming up. All of them gonna be there. Ain't none of them they ain't gonna be there. And a parade may have a secret wickedness behind it, like the Olympics. The Olympics was used to so-called generate spiritual wickedness and energy, and everybody would take the sweat off their body and put it in a vase, and they would go sacrifice it and offer it up, and this, that, and the third, and now everybody in idolatry. Or they got these different rituals where you got to drink blood. It's mixed with wine, but it is a little blood in it. Just drink it and you'll be cool. No.
Right, bro. Don't even worry about it. It ain't nothing.
Don't worry about it. It's just a drop. It's just a drop, bro. Don't worry about it.
We all do it.
Right.
If you want to be down,
get down.
It's easy.
That's what they do. And you can even see it with when Satan pulled up on the Messiah. He said, bow to me and I will make you great. I give you all this. And that's exactly what they do to our people. They make us go and we give up our morals. Now you got men wearing dresses just to get a little bit more of that bag, just to get set on high. We seen this example from the beginning. Follow me and I'll make you great. We even seen it with Eve. The serpent beguiled Eve. Eat of this fruit, you'll know the knowledge of good and evil. You'll become a god. He literally told Eve that. You will become a god.
He said, and he knows that you'll become like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Set us up. Because if there be any error in this people, let us consider it to be for their ruin. But you got any more on that?
Yeah, it says, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And the hidden ones is the Israelites. And they consulted against us. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So now you're not an Israelite, you African. Nah, brother, you Ethiopian. Well, damn, brother, we all Gentiles. We all Gentiles, but then there's a Christian song saying we're all Abraham's children. Well, damn, what happened to the Hamites?
Right.
What happened to the Japhites? All Shemites don't come from Ham in the first place. I mean, don't come from Abraham.
God.
But there's a song going around, we're all Abraham's seed. Where's that in the scriptures?
All you got to do is believe.
Right. Niggas is walking around Abramites now. But none of us are the children of Israel.
Right.
We're all Gentiles. Go ahead.
It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
God. They all made an agreement. They are one. These niggas is one. But since we coming back to the Most High God, there's starting to be divisions amongst these people. Schisms. The body isn't working right. The damn eye don't want to be an eye no more. Damn ear don't want to hear nothing no more. The foot don't want to walk no more. They got Esau got schisms in the body, and Christ already told us, if Satan be divided against Satan, how is his kingdom stand? They can't. Roughly paraphrasing, but we back at Judah.
All right, where you want me? 20?
Yeah, 21.
21. Judah 5:21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
This lets you know that everybody knows about the Most High God and that he is real. Holofernes serves a God. He doesn't serve the Most High God, but he serves a God. And he's like, look, if these niggas if they not in sin and they being righteous,
it's going to get weird, bro. You never know. Plagues and hail, fire, elements. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You heard about the Philistines, God?
You ain't heard about Egypt?
Right.
Come on, man.
When the Philistines took an Ark of the Covenant, they woke up and they God was rent in twain. They woke up and the statue was down and broke. Everybody knows about the Most High God.
You ain't heard about young David?
Right.
David? Dwight?
I don't want Joshua to come back.
Really, though? He paused the sun.
Right.
It was crazy. I couldn't even sleep.
Stuff getting weird.
I was working for 2 days.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on.
For 1 day payment.
Hey, that's why it's in the scripture. It says, surely it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Mm-hmm. It's fearful because according to Ammonite, he like, I don't think right now.
Right.
I'm like, since they got back to the land, they kind of worshiping God right now. This might not be the right time.
They just got done with Passover.
I don't know, man. I don't know if we should do it. Like, I'm down. I'm down to do it. But right now, you ain't got no like stumbling blocks for him or nothing.
Right.
We got to get them in sin. I ain't gonna lie to you. This ain't good for us.
Gotta get them.
Hey, let me see what everybody said. 22, it says, and when the Korah had finished these sayings, all the people standing around about the tent murmured, and the chief men of Holofernes and all that dwelt by the sea side of And and Moab spake that he should kill him. For they say, we will not be afraid of the face of the children of Israel, for lo, it is a people that have no strength nor power for a strong battle. Now therefore, Lord Holofernes, we will go up, and they shall be a prey to be devoured of all thine army.
That's what they think of.
Everybody was like, Accord, bro, shut the hell up.
You tripping.
You see how deep we is?
Bro,
we
Accord
army
with wisdom.
Accord was like, listen. No, listen. Everybody like, bro, we low-key should kill you right now because you low-key, you being weird. You kind of moving, you kind of got fear in your heart. We don't need this. You putting fear in him. We might need to kill him to make him. Let's make it. Hey, next thing you know, they even though we don't got a strong army for battle, but the Lord raised up a mighty dirt Holofernes, and we was winning a great victory by the hands of a woman that day, right?
So that's a different movie.
Right. He was caught lacking. You can. He should have knew better. But long story short, we was granted a victory, and we gotta call her my Judah. But we gotta get going to camp. Man, we gotta go get some go get this word in. So you got anything else you want to end with?
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Therefore, is abound in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in the Lord.
So make sure blatantly become a person most high, trying to help people when you can, just try and do this thing, receive a reward. Other than that, mighty shalom. Then give all the most God Yahweh by Hashem.